Welcome back to a Munchausen's Proxy, where we have almost done it. We have almost survived a full season of CW's Gotham Knights. I know, let's not get ahead of ourselves. The hacks responsible for this tripe still have their grand finale to drop on our unsuspecting heads. And given the jump in the level of retardation between last week and this week, we are in for a doozy of a finale. So let's get into the spoiler review for episode 12 of CW's Gotham Knights. Last episode was so uneventful that I actually had to sit there and think for a minute or two before I could remember the sparse elements of their so-called story and piece together what the hell I actually watched 2 weeks ago. We had Duella and Turner fly the coop in a plot point so contrived it bordered on astounding. They decided to go out for Duella's birthday following their boinking in the library, despite being on the run. We also had Harvey conveniently leave Stephanie at GCPD to join the Turner-Duella plot contrivance, opening her up to her own moronic side plot that I doubt anyone cared about since we knew it would lead to scissoring by the end of the episode. Lincoln wanted the idiots in exchange for getting her imbecilic father off on what should have been a mountain of federal and state opioid-related charges. And Stephanie stood up for herself to her father, but was robbed of the chance to do so in the face of her mother's violence by the white knighting of Harper as a prelude to the aforementioned scissoring. And that would be the end of the episode, but before that, Harvey and Turner would fall prey to Duella's mom, Jane Doe, and her misogyny, narcissism, and greed, only to be rescued by an owl coin and the soon-to-be sapphic lovebirds, respectively. This week starts off with Lincoln March's victory party following what was probably the biggest landslide election in Gotham history over Harvey, following his outing as Duella's dad and the power-hungry oppressor of the oh-so-innocent and definitely sane Jane Doe. Anyone with a brain knew this was how the election was going to go as soon as it was announced way back in whatever episode it was. By this point, I neither care nor does it matter. So we wind up having to endure the victory speech by Lincoln, intercut with scenes of goons in weird masks using what looks like the Electrum to make a serum to resurrect some guy they pull from a crypt while Rebecca supervises. Can you say Talon, boys and girls? Post-scissoring, Harper brings Stephanie a cup of coffee in the top of the tower as Stephanie looks out the big window on a new day. Awkwardness ensues. They discuss Stephanie probably being disowned by both parents after she refused to give up the idiots. She then puts her foot in her mouth, seemingly hinting that the previous night's frolic was a mistake, to the horror and disappointment of Harper. While Stephanie is trying to extract said limb from her firmly jammed mandible and reassure Harper that is not what she meant, they hear an electronic beeping coming from below. What's that you say? Another plot contrivance calling? I do believe you're correct. Below, Turner and Cullen are discussing Duella and whether Harvey knew she was his kid while Turner eats breakfast. Turner doesn't want to touch that subject just yet, wanting to let it marinate before broaching it with Harvey. Cullen wonders how Duella is taking it, and then he remembers she split and left them in the lurch, so he doesn't care. That is when they hear the beeping too, and they begin searching for what is making the sound. But then we cut to the trailer, where Jane and Duella are primping as Jane is telling her daughter that they need to find a new name for Duella to go with her new look. Duella wonders if Mom is mad that she didn't kill Harvey after all, but Jane tells her the important part was that she pulled the trigger. And I'm sure the court system is going to completely agree with her. Duella laughs, reveling in the fact that they just ruined Harvey's life, and Mom joins in celebrating his downfall. Then Jane says that as soon as the money from her last job comes in, they are out of Gotham. Duella wonders when she had time to pull a job, but Jane evades. Back in the tower, the idiots are searching for what is beeping, and they must all be as deaf as Harvey was back in the second episode when he was trying to look for what was ringing when there was a box with a head and a cell phone in it on the desk right in front of his face. It really was like watching blind people play Marco Polo. Anyway, as they're scattering all about the tower looking for what is beeping, they're also wondering if Duella left them a time bomb. Turner tries to tell them that Duella is still their friend, that it was Jane that screwed them over, but the others are not having it. Stephanie yells for them to shut up so she can listen as they debate that point, and she finds the beeping. It was coming from a backpack of Robin's, inside of which is a small device flashing low battery. Also on the device was the code MX8-62. Harper remembers that was the lapel pin camera Turner wore to the Court of Owls gathering. Harper calls Robin, and Robin tells them they should not be giving off a signal if the camera was destroyed. It also should not be giving off a signal after multiple weeks of being on. But don't think about that. Stephanie speculates that Lincoln faked the text she got, meaning the camera still exists. And she wonders where Brody is if it was his father that spoofed the text. Why hasn't he called her? Robin tells them they need to find the camera and get the evidence against Lincoln before she has to get off the phone due to her mother yelling for her. They realize they will need to break into the March's place, since that is where Brody hid his weed. Conveniently, the idiots stole all of the designs for all of the Wayne buildings, apparently, meaning they have the plans for the March's building. That is when they notice Lincoln on TV doubling the reward for their heads. Since it was a live feed, they assume his wife is with him, and thus neither are at home. A perfect opportunity to break into the apartment. Harvey shows up at the post-election party to confront Lincoln, warning him that he will come after him with all of his power. Lincoln gloatingly informs him that he has been fired as district attorney. The people of Gotham can't trust a womanizing DA who abuses his power to lock up his baby mamas in the loony bin. That is when Cullen in his Officer Hines guise steps between the two and tells Lincoln that he will handle it, leading Harvey away. As they walk away, Harvey asks him if he got what he needed. Cullen shows him that he picked Lincoln's pocket, taking his wallet. Inside is the keycard to the March's apartment. Harvey asks if he wants to know what they are planning, and Cullen replies, "Absolutely not." Harvey agrees and leaves to go clean out his office. At the March's building, Harper and Stephanie head up in the elevator, while Turner and Cullen watch from the stolen food truck they are still tooling around in Gotham in, but haven't gotten noticed by GCPD with a stolen plate. The guys spoof the cameras in the elevator and the girls head up. They get into the apartment and Cullen informs them Lincoln is leaving City Hall. Stephanie finds the camera and instead of getting out immediately, they stop and have a spitballing session about what it means that the camera is still here and the text she got from Brody was faked. As they are chit-chatting, Cullen lets them know there's a security alert on their floor, something that would not have happened if they had grabbed the camera and immediately scrammed. 2 burly security guards come in, and of course, 5.5-foot, 110-pound Stephanie and 5.5-foot, supposedly 105-pound Harper are able to easily disarm and knock out both guys. Downstairs, half of GCPD shows up to investigate a breaking and entry case that just happened. They can't know there are also 2 assault cases as yet, and I doubt they would know exactly who broke into the apartment, so they wouldn't be there thinking it is one of the idiots just yet. But there they are, at least a half a dozen police cars, screaming in with their lights on. Stephanie and Harper get in the elevator, and Cullen tells them that they need to find a different way out. The garage is crawling with police. So Harper suggests the roof. Cullen scoffs, demanding to know if they plan on flying away. Then Harper sees a button labeled N and presses it, despite none of them knowing what it is. I was immediately guessing it was a Court of Owls resurrection floor where Rebecca was at the start of the episode. Turns out I was wrong, but not by much. When nothing happens at pressing the button, Stephanie suggests using the key card, and it works. Floor N is between floors 12 and 14 and looks deserted and unfinished, with crates and other mysterious things scattered about. As the girls are speculating with the guys about the nomenclature of the floor, the comms fuzz out. Which of course means it's time for the girls to share feelings. And Stephanie is seriously considering scissoring Harper right then and there, but that is when Harper notices a coffin. The coffin Brody was placed in 2 episodes ago. And when we come back from commercial, they hear Brody's voice from inside the coffin as they get near it. And Stephanie's instinct is, of course, to shout his name as loudly as possible while they are fleeing police after breaking into the home of the leader of the Court of Owls. They get him out of the coffin just as they hear the elevator come back. He tells them to run, and they do, as 2 goons in the weird masks from the beginning of the episode come out of the elevator with guns drawn. But we cut to Duella in the woods, looking pensively into a fire. She takes out the Joker card she was given as a child. She looks at it for a long moment before taking her lighter out and burning it before throwing it into the fire, which is more than a little redundant. That is when she hears her mother shout angrily. Duella runs into the trailer and sees her mother growling in anger and a broken coffee cup on the floor. She asks what's wrong, and Jane tells her the job she thought was coming in fell through. Duella reassures her that it is okay and starts throwing out ideas for con jobs that they can pull quickly and lucratively. But Jane yells at her, telling her to stop being so naive. She then rails at Duella, counting out the things they need money for because Duella is a fugitive. New identity, car, relocation money, clothes, condo. She costs a lot of money. Duella apologizes morosely. Jane remembers Duella saying something about a stash of high-end watches and jewelry, but Duella starts making excuses for why they can't sell them. Jane is not buying her reasons for not doing it. She tells Duella that if she's afraid of going back and facing the judgment of her runaway pals, then she is getting soft. She should not care about them. Screw them. Duella agrees to go get the watches. After she leaves, Jane smiles, and you just know she is going to f*** over her daughter, and it probably involves getting her hands on that now doubled reward money. Cullen is trying to get the comms back up, but Turner guesses it has something to do with the gap floor that blocks the signal. Which is complete bullshit, by the way, since it later comes back on for no discernible reason. Turner guesses that Alan Wayne was so superstitious that he probably put gap floors in all of his buildings to avoid having a 13th floor. With a sort of shocked look on his face, Cullen turns to Turner and asks him if that means Wayne Tower has one too. And Turner has an equally surprised look on his face at that thought. We don't get an answer because we cut to Harvey emptying his desk, looking somber. He finds a note from Bruce when he ran for DA presumably, that says, quote, "To the man who will change Gotham forever. Save me a drink on election night. Your friend Bruce," unquote. He throws it in the garbage and takes a swig of the bottle it was attached to. That's when he gets a call from Turner. He answers with, quote, "You are interrupting my rock bottom," unquote. Turner informs him about Alan Wayne designing buildings with gap floors, suggesting that maybe it is how the real killer of Bruce Wayne got away the night of the murder. If Lincoln March knew about the gap floor, he could have told Talon it could be a way to move through Wayne Tower without getting caught. The owls are in the house, literally. Harvey agrees to go check out Wayne Tower. The girls then magically get the comms to work somehow. They are asking for help from the guys when one of the masked goons finds them. Brody tackles the guy, knocking him out, but that is when the other guy shoots him several times. Harper bashes him over the head with something, and Stephanie goes to see how bad Brody is, when he jolts too, telling her that he apparently can't die. They take him back to the tower, apparently, because that is where the next scene jumps to. Brody tells him that his mother put electrum in his tooth, stabbed him, and then locked him in the coffin for the last week. He confirms that his mother is behind everything. He then turns to Turner and tells him to go ahead and say it. When Turner gives him a quizzical look, Brody explains that he gave Turner shit about not knowing Bruce Wayne was Batman, and the whole time his mom was running the Court of Owls. Turner commiserates, saying, "Sometimes parents keep secrets. What counts is what you do when you find out." Turner wants an update on what they have on the court, but Harper runs everything down, pointing out it is all circumstantial. It shows the Court of Owls is real, but nothing substantive shows who they are. Nothing proves that Lincoln or Rebecca are the leaders of it. Brody offers up the idea of him telling everyone who they are, but Stephanie points out that the people are more likely to believe the newly elected mayor and his philanthropic wife than his screw-up teenage son and a bunch of fugitives. Turner needlessly points out the obvious, that they need to tear the mask off and expose them. Conveniently, Brody knows where they will be that night. He overheard his parents talking, so they plan another infiltration of a court party. Rebecca is inspecting the party decor when finally someone comes in to inform her that her home was broken into. Her minion shows her the video and asks what she wants done. Rebecca tells him she will handle it herself. Robin is in her room on the phone with Cullen and telling him she will meet them when her mother comes in and tells her to stop, just as she's going out the window. Mom knows what she is doing, and that is not how she raised her. And as the scene is going on, I am thinking that this speech is long past its efficacy date. Once you are going out and beating the crap out of gang leaders and stealing from the mob, an "I raised you better than this" speech ain't gonna work. Robin shoots back that is exactly how she raised her. Robin explains that she watched her mother pull double shifts at the hospital until she could barely stand because she believed every life in Gotham was worth saving. And Robin believes that too. Mom tries to lay on a guilt trip, but Robin cuts her off, pointing out that the reason she does what she does is to save lives, like her mother. But Mom is persisting in the guilt trip, asking if Robin thought about how she would feel if Robin died. Robin assures Mom that she won't let that happen. Mom jabs back that is probably exactly what Batman thought. Robin snaps back that the good guys aren't the ones she should be fighting. Before she heads out the window, Harvey gets into the elevator at Wayne Tower, pries open the button panel without anyone from security having a problem with that. And this does not bother him at all. He finds the gap floor button and presses it. Yeah, that's it. That was the whole scene. The idiots are planning their infiltration of the Owl Soiree when Duella comes in with a big smile. Duella is pointing out that they are dangerously overmatched when Brody comes in, telling her they will be fine. She is upset that they replaced her with a jock. She pouts that she is just getting her stuff so she can ditch the attic. When Turner goes to talk to her, she tries to hang herself on a cross. He asks her what did she expect. Her mother drugged him and left him for the cops. She denies it, and Turner challenges her to think about whether she really believes her mom would not sell him out for $10 million. Then she realizes that Turner was the payday that fell through for her mother. Turner tells her that if it weren't for the other idiots, he would be in jail. Duella tries to excuse her mother's behavior, but Turner counters by pointing out that they were her family too. If they clear their names, she won't have to run anymore. Duella brushes him off, thinking they seem to be doing just fine without her, before she leaves. At the court gathering, Rebecca unmasks herself to mutters of surprise from the masked court members seated around the banquet table. She begins to speechify, including congratulating Lincoln on winning the mayoral election. She announces that after the banquet, they will all be imbued with electrum and live forever. She then toasts by reciting the Court of Owls rhyme as Harvey gets onto the Gap floor in Wayne Tower. As she gets to the part about sending Talon out to lop your head off, an idiot in the audience points out that they don't have a Talon anymore. She then suggests, why have only one Talon when they could have many? That is when the dead Talons she resurrected at the beginning of the episode walk in, and Harvey finds the empty coffins they were stored in taken from Wayne Tower. Rebecca tells them that she resurrected the old Talons to protect their secrets for ages to come. That is when the idiots show up and start taking out the guards in the surrounding halls in which they are holding the banquet. Cullen, Turner, and Brody clear the guards and tell the girls to meet them at the banquet hall. Before the girls head out, however, Harper decides they need to suck face first, and Stephanie agrees. Lincoln leaves the banquet hall to scold his wife for resurrecting the Talons without consulting him first. She laughs, and you immediately know he is a dead man. She informs him of the break-in at their apartment and the fact that the camera was taken. She resurrected the Talons to take care of a contingency, as Lincoln is looking distinctly unwell. I don't know, like he's been poisoned? She tells him that she needed to get rid of him. Yes, he has Electrum, but he won't die before the authorities determine he is at the head of the Court of Owls. Then he will be buried before Electrum revives him, burying him alive for eternity. As he quote-unquote dies, he calls her pure evil. She leaves as she spouts feminist blather to a corpse that's going to revive soon and can't hear her. The idiots are having an awfully easy time getting into the hall, and when they get there, they find the Court of Owls all dead, their throats slit. They try to figure out what is going on when Brody notices his father at the head table. He takes off his father's mask and Turner offers his condolences. Brody wants to find his mother. Back on the Gap floor at Wayne Tower, Harvey finds a picture from the early 1900s of Rebecca. She was the scientist who did experiments on Electrum and then disappeared. And that is when GCPD shows up at the banquet to nab the idiots in a room full of more dead bodies to blame them for. And that is all we see, them surrounded by SWAT as they go to commercial. Harvey, for some reason, is still at Wayne Tower reading articles about Rebecca when she magically comes in without him hearing her arrive on the floor. After chit-chat, she explains how she discovered Electrum and what it could do. He demands to know how many had to die for her to figure it out, and she counters by claiming a few lives are worth saving millions. He scoffs, retorting that she did not care about saving people. It was all about her. One con after another to benefit herself, ending with him. She admits that he was going to be the patsy, but she fell in love. So, she did what she always does. Pivot. She set Lincoln up instead. She professes her love to him, wanting to be with him. She offers him the power he deserves. He angrily rejects her, telling her that there is no part of him that could ever love anyone as cruel and twisted as she is. She wonders if he is sure about that, as two goons in masks grab him from behind and take him away. The newscast announces that the idiots have been apprehended, along with Brody, Stephanie, and Robin, at the scene of a grisly mass murder. The newscaster adds those bodies to their tally as well. They are being taken into the station, and the desk sergeant recognizes Cullen as Officer Hines. Duella sees the newscast and starts crying. She pulls herself together and tells her mother that she can't go with her. She explains that she dreamt of being with her mother on the outside all of her childhood, but that her friends got themselves into a mess and she needs to get them out of it. Jane smiles and hugs her daughter, saying she loves her, just as she jabs her with a needle, saying the money is too good. Rebecca is talking to the Talons, sending them to kill the idiots at GCPD lockup, and the episode ends with the Talons streaming out to hit GCPD. Oh, so much stupid. To numb the brain, where do we start? As always, Gotham Knights does not believe in waiting to start the retardedness. Lincoln's speech, as with all speeches on this show, was pretty bad. That they decided to intercut it with Rebecca resurrecting people with Electrum was a waste. The later reveal of the Talons at the banquet would probably have had a better impact without that. The post-scissoring scene in the tower between Stephanie and Harper was just... ugh. The awkward was thick enough to cut with a knife. That Harper was insecure enough to think Stephanie was going to dump her the very next day after the tryst in the tower was puzzling, given we are told by Hollywood that women are strong and confident, especially those with sapphic tendencies. I am also not sure I buy Stephanie, girl genius, being that indelicate and tongue-tied. She didn't seem to get very flustered and leaden-tongued when stomping all over Turner's heart after he kissed her. That she would do it accidentally to Harper was not passing the smell test for me. Then we have Cullen trying very hard at being mad at Duella for last week's clusterfuck. The bitch got one of them caught by the police, requiring 3 others to risk getting caught themselves to rescue him from GCPD. How is it difficult to remember you are pissed at Duella? Then we have the magic bullshit device that apparently has been on since episode 8 when they put the lapel pin camera on Turner. How? How did it not run out of battery weeks ago? How? Idiot writers who don't know how technology actually works and are too lazy to spend the 3 seconds needed to Google it. Spy cameras, as I learned after spending 3 seconds to Google it, generally have very short battery charges. We are talking from about 30 minutes to a couple of hours. So how is their camera device only just now beeping to conveniently interrupt 2 different conversations going on in the tower? I can't answer that question, but I can answer why. So the story can happen. The imbeciles writing this trash needed the idiots to break into the March's apartment. So magic spy camera battery life. Abracadabra. Oh, and why the hell would the criminal idiots steal all of the plans for all of the Wayne buildings when they were planning the heist to steal the gun way back pre-episode 1? That doesn't even make sense. Not to mention, they say all of Alan Wayne's buildings like he designed them. We get more hints to that effect later. As far as I know, Alan Wayne was not an architect. Either way, they conveniently have all they need to raid Brody's home in order to pick up the camera. Then we have Duella and her mom. How Duella is not picking up on the neon bright signals Jane Doe is throwing out is just silly. That crazy broad has been throwing more ticks than a meth head with Tourette's going through withdrawal. I knew as soon as I saw her that she would try to cash in on Duella and or her friends. How nobody else in this show did is easy to answer. They are all idiots. Then we have Harvey being fired as district attorney by Lincoln after he wins election as mayor. Excuse me while we get political. Gotham must work differently than other places. Generally, if a town or a city is having an election for mayor, they are also having elections for other things, like district attorney. So unless Gotham appoints their district attorney, Harvey would either have had to run for mayor or district attorney, thus unable to remain district attorney after the new mayor is sworn in, because that is when the new DA would also be sworn in. The mayor-elect would not have the power to fire him, and Lincoln would not officially be mayor until he was sworn in, which does not happen on election day. Everything I recall about DC and Gotham suggests Harvey was elected DA, meaning he is out of that position come the official swearing in of another elected DA since he ran for mayor. Having him being booted by Lincoln is another small thing that just gets added to the pile of stupid the writers have managed to amass into a mountain while attempting world building for this show. That this scene is just another contrivance to allow Cullen to swipe Lincoln's wallet in furtherance of the raid on the marches makes it that much more moronic. The actual raid on the apartment ratcheted up the stupid as well. That should have been a 2-minute job. You get in, you get the camera out of the socket, you put the socket back, and you get out. Is that what the ladies do? Of course not. They get in, they throw the doors wide open, inviting any passersby a gander at their burglary. Stephanie gets the camera and holds it up like she found the holy f***ing grail. Do they then book it out of there? No. Because we need time to get caught. So, the ladies talk about what it means the camera is there, and what it means that she got a text from Brody, and what it means that he didn't send the text. Of course, Cullen and Turner also botched their part of the operation by not getting the alarms taken care of. And no, the missing floor does not make that make sense. If the gap floor is cut out of the normal operation of the elevator and it wasn't on the plans they looked at to plan the raid, then it would be cut out of the security as well, because the court would not want some schmuck rent-a-cop stumbling on their super secret hidden floor. So of course they get caught. And just as predictably, 2 short, skinny girls beat the crap out of 2 big burly security guards. That is when half of GCPD shows up. Why? All they would know is that the March's place has been broken into. A simple breaking and entering. At no point is it suggested they know who it is, nor would they know 2 security guards were taken down when half the force was sent several minutes before the girls even broke in. Rebecca didn't even know about the break-in until just before the banquet as she's prepping for it. So how did GCPD even know anyone was in that apartment? Only 2 things would make this make sense. First, Gotham City Police Department has the best response time in human history, real or fiction. They would need to know that apartment would be broken into before the girls even got on the elevator to make it there when they did. Which leads to possibility number 2. GCPD employs psychics in a sort of minority report fashion to allow them to roll out to simple B&Es that haven't even been called in yet when they all got in their cars to rush there like they knew one of the idiots was there. Again, lazy and stupid writing. So the girls need a way out, and the answer is to hit a button in a building occupied by the leader of the Court of Owls that will take you to a secret floor requiring a key card you got from the mayor. You cannot possibly know what is on the floor, but you go there anyway. For all they knew, it could have been the place they train new Talons or the place they conduct day-to-day business of the court. Personally, I thought it was unlikely that the secretive Court of Owls would allow a secret floor in the building their leader resides in to be left in an unfinished and largely unused state. It is too good a place for court chicanery, and storing your revived son's body in a coffin does not count. I have a hard time believing the court goons would be so callous as to shoot their leader's son multiple times like that, electrum or no electrum. Then again, Rebecca did slough off her husband like a molting snake when she realized she wanted Harvey more. Then we have the scene where Duella should have realized that not only did Mom try to sell out Turner last episode, like Harvey tried to tell her, but she was the next payday. Duella comes in to Mom throwing a fit because her Turner payday fell through. She starts throwing out ideas to make money, and Mom reveals that she only sees Duella as a line in her ledger. A line that is throwing their situation into the red. Duella is not stupid, except for when the writers make her so, as they did in this episode. She knows she has a $10 million price tag on her head, doubled now that Lincoln is mayor. That scene should have told her that Mom is not a mother. She is a partner in crime, and there's no honor among thieves. Then we have the mysteriously blocked comm signal when the girls are trying to flee the scene of their B&E. There should have been nothing to block that signal. If it worked on the floors above and below it, it should have worked there as well. There was no sign of any machines to block the signal, and the plans would have shown any strange materials used to build that floor, if only because it was the floor of number 14 and the ceiling of number 12. If for no other reason than fire and building codes, the plans would have to have shown what the floors/ceilings would be made of. And since they got the signal back without doing anything technical, it is another lazy writing contrivance used to spout dialogue between Cullen and Turner. Not entirely sure why Turner decided to send Harvey to go investigate the possibility of a gap floor at Wayne Tower, alone. I was pretty sure he was immediately going to be in trouble, just as the writers need him to be, which means this is another stupid plot contrivance. Then we have the idiots taking the son of the leader of the Court of Owls, who has been infused with electrum, back to the fortress of imbecility? How did they know they could trust him? The last person they saw take lethal damage and still walk around was Talon. For all they know, Brody was the new Talon in training. Him being Stephanie's used-to-be boyfriend is not a good enough reason. Also, how did they manage to get him out of the building to begin with? That place would have been on lockdown, and they were 13 stories up. Not only did they bring Brody home with them, they included him in on their planning largely based on information he says was uttered in his presence by the leader of the Court of Owls. Yeah, it works out, sort of. But still, he's the son of the leader of the Court of Owls and somebody Turner doesn't like. How does this make sense? We also had confirmation of my supposition last week about the complete uselessness of having Stephanie at GCPD to swear out an affidavit to Harvey about Lincoln. There was no basis for it. Thus their need to raid the Court of Owls banquet this week. Nothing they have does anything other than confirm the existence of a Court of Owls. There is nothing in their possession that would stand up in a court of law to prove either of Brody's parents guilty of anything. And they had no other identities of court members because they were complete idiots in episode 8, infiltrating the Court of Owls gathering rather than following the court members home after the soiree at the power plant. Robin's face-off with her mother before going to join the idiots was lame. How is Robin, an experienced vigilante who managed to keep her secret identity secret until the series started, talking on the phone and planning to hop the fence of her grounding with her room door open so her mom can hear her and intervene? Nothing either party to that confrontation said was compelling. I am sure the emotionally incontinent people who write the swill that passes for dialogue on this show thought it was brilliant, but alas, it wasn't. There is no counter to a mother trying to emotionally blackmail her 15-year-old child who, for reasons, was chosen as Batman's sidekick, and apparently years ago. So, she has been sneaking out to beat up criminals since she was even shorter and lighter than she is now. Nothing said by either side of this scene would convince the other to see their side. It was always going to wind up with Robin leaving and Mom yelling her name futilely in the most predictable cliche of a scene possible. That it didn't happen last week kind of surprised me, and made me wary because I knew them putting it off would wind up being dumber. When Duella comes in and interrupts their planning, I am not sure why she thought her reception would be any different. Also not sure why she cares that they recruited Brody. But what really got me was her trying to deny and then defend her mother for trying to cash in by ratting out Turner for the reward. Hearing her mother tried to cash in on one of the idiots should have made her positive Jane would try to cash in on Duella if she saw her slipping from her orbit of misogyny, narcissism, and greed. Rebecca's speech at the court banquet was as bad as Lincoln's at the beginning of the show. I was almost sure the dude who pointed out that they did not have a Talon anymore would lose his head right then and there. I guess I was not far off, since he did get whacked later. Rebecca unveiling the Talons should have been a shock, but since we see her messing about with resurrection at the beginning of the show while Lincoln is giving his victory speech, it kind of blunted the effect of the Talons appearing. If Rebecca was the leader of the Court of Owls, I am not sure why Lincoln would think she needed to run anything by him. Never mind resurrecting the Talons. They need at least one Talon, so he should have been happy about it. And if one Talon is good, more should be better. That she decided to kill him was coming for 2.5 episodes. That she began spouting feminist blather as he dies and lets him know he will awaken only to be buried alive due to the Electrum was a little too cuckoo for the character that was pretty buttoned down for 9.5 episodes. All of the sudden, she went super feminazi at the end of episode 10, and she hasn't made sense since. Not even when they revealed that she was the doctor who discovered Electrum in the early 1900s when Harvey finds the newspaper articles about her old identity. The idiots getting into the banquet location was far too easy compared to what they faced the first time. They should have been more suspicious than they were. They also somehow forgot most of them were on the run from the police and forgot to keep an ear out on the police scanner. So when they show up and get the surprise of everyone being dead, they get the added bonus of getting arrested and blamed for yet more murders just because they have been blamed for every major death in Gotham since the series began. None of them had blood on them, so none of them should have been accused of slitting the throats of over 24 grown adults. The writers on this show don't seem to know how criminal justice works either. People who slit throats tend to have blood on them, at least on their hands and arms and the weapon they used. Every single idiot arrested will be spotless, and yet they will take the blame for the banquet? I don't think so. Not even in Gotham. Especially when the entire Court of Owls was just whacked and they were the main ones perverting the justice system in Gotham. Also, how exactly did the police know to go there? I have to assume someone told them well before the idiots even got there, because GCPD were once more Johnny on the spot, showing up just in time to catch the shocked looks on the idiots' faces when they discovered the entire Court of Owls wiped out. Minus Rebecca, of course. This is another Minority Report situation. Psychic cops to the rescue. Well, not in this case. I guess their vision came in a little late to save the court members. And exactly how long did Harvey spend going over the contents of the Gap floor in Wayne Tower? He finds the floor after Robin has her verbal spat with Mom and after Rebecca is making sure the banquet setup is perfect, but before the idiots are finished planning their raid on the court. Which means Turner had his conversation with Duella, she leaves, Rebecca gives her speech, the Talons kill everyone, Lincoln dies, temporarily, of poison. The idiots show up from Gotham Academy, take out the guards, find the dead bodies, the cops show up, the idiots are arrested, and Rebecca arrives at Wayne Tower and Harvey is still perusing her clippings. I have zero patience for how this whole thing went. And an intelligent Harvey should damn well know that at least part of him is perfectly alright with insane chicks who want him to take the skin boat to Tuna Town. After all, he woke up in Rebecca's bed, butt-ass naked after putting a smile on her face. So him saying there is no part of him that could ever love anyone as cruel and twisted as her is blindingly dumb. Especially since we had a good chunk of an episode where he talked to that exact part of himself. And since the court figured out how to bring that part of him to the fore with the piano music, I doubt she will have much trouble. And if she does, she has all the time in the world, and the ability to give him that much time as well. The newscast at the end was as annoying as all the rest of them in this series have been. It was bad. Duella tearing up, telling her mom she has to help her friends, and Jade jabbing her while hugging her was predictable. Last week, I guessed Duella and Jane would get in trouble and the idiots would come to their rescue, after Duella had to choose between the idiots and mom. After I posted that video, I thought the opposite might happen instead, where the idiots get in trouble and Duella comes to the rescue, leaving mom behind. It looks like neither of those will happen. I forgot to account for the stupidity of the Gotham Knights writers when coming up with that scenario. No, based on the sneak peek at the end of this week's episode, the GCPD just let the idiots go to help them fight the army of Talons attacking the station to get at said idiots. And so the circle of imbecility will be complete. We started the series with mentally impaired writing and we will end on it. Next episode is the blessed end to this creatively bankrupt enterprise that took a fairly interesting premise. Batman is dead, and his adopted son and the children of some of his enemies take the rap for it, and sprinkled diversity and inclusion across the casting rather than actual talent, put Batwoman writers in charge as showrunners, turned the modern day writing up to 11, and aired it on a CW network so bad it has never made a single dollar in profit and was such a drag on its parent companies that Warner Brothers and Paramount gave it away for $0. The end result is a show that was canceled before its full half-season run was complete, and nothing will come of the show that anyone should be proud of. This penultimate episode was as bad as I was expecting, which means next week's finale will be even worse, even dumber, and probably end on a stupid cliffhanger. Not that I will care. Much like the Rings of Power, I will be heartily glad to be saved from this dreck, and hopefully move on to something that is not complete shit. Speaking of which, as bad as Gotham Knights ratings have been throughout the season, things got even worse this week. The final ratings are in for episode 12, and CW lost another fifth of their already dismal audience. Gotham Knights ratings dropped from 360,000 and a minuscule 0.04 demo for episode 11 to 284,000 and a steady 0.04 demo for this episode. I think the only reason the demo didn't also go down is this show has already lost all of those in the 18 to 49 demographic who were actively watching the show but aren't part of the Twitter crowd pumping this trash. With 284,000 viewers, they are left with basically their Twitter audience and the YouTubers dumb enough to still be covering this dumpster fire. Had they not already been canceled, this week's ratings probably would have done it. But that is all I have for this video. I will save my full retrospective on the series for next week's finale. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel and make sure to click the bell icon to be notified of new videos. Please also click the like button, share the video, and comment down below. I appreciate it all and it helps the channel. I think the next video, barring news I find video worthy, will probably be to follow up my Disney Marvel is Dying video. If you missed it, it should be up on your screen now. That video will be my proposals for fixing Disney Marvel, rather than consigning it to the ash heap of history. Until then, tschüss.